Hey, what's up guys, it's Tyron2, and in this video, I'll be showing you guys how to build this 5x5 piston door in Minecraft. And again, this is going to be a tutorial and explanation, just like my last 5x5, but instead of being a tiny 5x5, because that one was 65 blocks, if I remember correctly, this 5x5 has a volume of 1092 blocks, but it closes and opens under 4 seconds, which is pretty good for a door on Bedrock. This door is relatively compact for its size, having a folded triple on top, and it's pretty good. So let's get right into the tutorial. Alright, just a disclaimer before we start. There may or may not be some cuts in the video, because this is the actual door that I do build for the tutorial. So, here's a slight disclaimer. If there are some random big cuts where it seems like I skipped a lot, and then I break stuff and like say do it like this instead, it's because I messed up of what I was supposed to do. I broke it and replaced it, and I don't want you guys to have to sit through that, because then this tutorial would be an hour and a half long, and I don't think you guys really want that. Just keep in mind that there may or may not be some pretty big cuts, but it's fine, it'll be fine. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and hope you guys can learn something too. I do try to explain it, and sometimes I forget to explain what I'm doing. I just say place this here, place this here. So if you need me to explain any part of the door, just comment below, and I'll make sure to try and help as best I can in the comments. So what you'll need for this door is basically everything that is in my inventory here, and you don't actually need comparators. So this is your door block, and I'm using quartz for this build, and then you will need glass building blocks, and I have 8 different colors, because there are actually 8 different circuits. This is the input block, this is the input block, this is the bottom closing, this is top closing, this is sides closing, this is the input circuit, sides opening, top opening, and bottom opening, I'm pretty sure. So, alright, let's get into the tutorial. And this is crying obsidian, by the way, if you can't tell. It is for an immovable block that you will need in the door. So let's get right into the tutorial. So first, same as the last door, this is just same thing as the last door. I'm going to explain the layout first. Alright, so this is the piston layout finished, and if you want to follow along with me, then you can go ahead and pause the video right now and build this layout. This is the top, you can pause and build that. This is the bottom, I'm pretty sure. You can go ahead and build that. And if I'm wrong, then oh crap, I put these on the wrong sides, my bad. Let me just like fix that. And make sure you do have your immovable blocks where I have them in here. These top two, this one and this one, are actually unnecessary, but if I do make a mistake in the door, then it will break the door if you don't have those. So that's just a warning. And I accidentally mirrored the bottom, so let me just fix that real quick. Go make sure I didn't miss any bottom pistons. I can't see. This door is dense. I don't think I missed any. Okay, so this layout is a kind of tricky one. So let's go over the closing. So for the closing, we push this and push this. And I'm only going to do one layer of these hipsters, because the right and left sides are actually do the same thing. So just imagine that's there. Then closing here, we're going to power actually all of these pistons, but since there's immovable blocks that can't move, and you can see it pushes everything up here. And for closing here, we're going to power this piston, push this over, push this down. You'll see the observer get slotted in. That actually happens first before that. And then this moves back over. Oh my gosh, I'm so dumb. And this moves over. And that is the closing for this door. And then for opening, we're going to retract this, and it retracts the redstone block. Double piston retract that. Push this over, and do another double piston extension, just like so, for the walls. And that's actually the easy part. And this extends during the closing as well. Well, it's already extended, but it doesn't matter. So, for closing, this actually moves out of the way. And you see this piston will push down, and that pushes the observer down as well, making this piston fire down there. And this piston will turn off at the same time. And then this piston will push over, and this piston will push over. This one will also turn off. And this one actually turns off before. I should have said that too. But then what we'll see is on the top, this will come over, push this down, close back, retract, retract, retract. And to finish the triple piston extended. On the bottom here, this will pull, this will push over. And while this is double extending, this one's also double extending. And this will push up, making the door completely seamless. Just like so. So let's actually get into the wiring. So first is the red circuit. And if you're color coding, just follow along with my colors. And also, let's go ahead and fill in some necessary door frame blocks. Just fill in here. Just fill in the corners so that we know, like, what we need to work around on that stuff. So, once you have your corners filled in, then we can start wiring the door, except for also placed in these blocks, because those are important for these sides. And let's start with the input. The input is actually right here, the redstone dust, and two pistons pushing outward. These pistons aren't really necessary. I just put them there to prevent any input bugging, which could happen. So you see this, and this red circuit will just connect to stuff later. This one goes block and block up, and this one just goes block, block, block like this, with dust here and here, also dust here and here. This is the entire red circuit. That's our red circuit. So let's start with the yellow circuit. The yellow circuit will be the closing for the sides, and the yellow circuit has a piston here and blocks going up like this with dust on them, or some blocks like so, and a piston facing down. If you watched my 4x4 piston door tutorial, you know exactly what this is. This is the slider thing where this piston pushes up, and when it gets to the top, it actually powers this piston, which it can't push because this one will be pushed up. I'm not going to push that right now, but you see, then once this one retracts, this one will also retract, which will make the door actually start, like, opening. And to finish off the closing, we need to power these back pistons, and how we do that is redstone dust and 4 tick repeaters. It is pretty simple, and both sides are actually slightly different. So on this side, it's block up with redstone dust, and we're going to use a target block, just like so, and into 1 tick repeater into a block like so. That is the bottom return, or the top thing. And on the other side, we can go ahead and mirror that. And you see this redstone dust is running into this block, so this piston will get powered at the same time, so it's completely fine. And this side is slightly different because the top is obviously not going to be symmetrical with itself, because if you look at the layout for the top, it's not a symmetrical layout. So the wiring for this top section is not going to be symmetrical, and neither is the bottom, so there's some slight changes we need to make, but otherwise it is okay. I have the camera jitter, but otherwise it's going to be almost exactly the same. But here it's going to be block up into a target block, which is basically the same idea. The target block will redirect the redstone dust, because target blocks have a unique quality where they can redirect redstone dust into them and still get powered as solid blocks, and that will power this piston right here. So we can see the closing work just fine if we click the lever, and if I can power that piston. And you see the pistons get retracted just like that. Now we need to pulse these pistons again, and how we do that is with a observer slider, which goes to 1, 2, 3, and this is actually part of the orange circuit because this is more part of the closing, but that it's completely fine if you want to do it in yellow or just whatever block you're building with. But this slider is yellow, so we're gonna do that. And observers here, here, and here, yellow blocks, and those ones, these two, need to be glass, and this one needs to be a solid block, and I'll explain that in a little bit. So once we get here, we need to, oh no, I placed the piston to block too high, that's why. Okay, so piston is on here, and then with our return piston down at the bottom here. And the reason this isn't a redstone block to just power something is because if this was a redstone block, when it's in this state, it would just permanently power this piston, which we don't want. And the reason why we don't move this piston down one is because there are 2 other sliders in this door that are right next to it, right here, so can't do that. So how we power this is actually like this, and when this comes down, it'll actually push up. If you see right here, the repeater powers the block, which powers this dust, which powers this block, which powers this piston. So it will push back up. And you see that does do the retraction for here. And to get that slider to fire, it's just 2 observers, up and across, just like so. And we can see that working on the left side. Yep, just like so. And we can go ahead and copy the same thing over to the left side. And again, I'm going to use orange blocks here, but you can use yellow or whatever color you're using to build the door. This is the wrong placement. And again, the same observer and observer. And we down here, it's actually going to be slightly, just ever so slightly different. It's actually going to be orange glass, not white glass, orange glass. It has to be a transparent block because of the way we have to do the sliders on this side to avoid messing with stuff on the bottom. So it's basically the same though, and this is how we do it. So we can see the double piston retractions on both sides. Hopefully, yep. And now it's time to wire in the double piston extender, but we're not actually going to connect that up until we do the top closing, because it's actually connected with the top closing, but the double piston extenders are symmetrical for the most part. That's why we're not doing wiring them in right now, because they're not symmetrical on the clothing. And this is why we actually need these to be glass blocks. It's because if they weren't, these redstone dust would power these blocks, which would power these back pistons and make the double extenders not work. And that's not fun. We don't want that. And we have just like our double piston extender thing, and it's actually also connected to these pistons, because these pistons need to push over before the double extender fires, or else it won't do a double piston extension. And this is when the two other sliders come in, and that's the double piston extension. So one slider is here. The other slider is right here, because the other slider is right here because when these observers get pushed over, they'll be at the bottom. And I do not remember which side okay, so on this side it's different than the other side, and on this side it is this one's here. Is it? Or am I dumb? No, I'm not. And then this one is up one, just like so. And then glass up. And this one has to be glass to make sure that the dust can run up through it. And this one has to be glass to make sure it doesn't power this piston underneath it. No, it doesn't. That's stupid. Never mind. It doesn't need to be glass, does it? No. But just leave it glass because it looks better. And we can see that our double piston extender would be done actually if I didn't forget to wire in the return circuit for this. So this has to be a block, because if it's a redstone block, you can see there's a piston right here, and it'll power the piston, making the slider just completely break. And there's another thing we do not want. Sorry. Okay, so this is a normal block, and this one is the redstone lamp. And then for tick repeater, into a block, dust. And make sure to block this signal, just like so. And if I'm on the correct side of the door, to the left side, I should have done everything right. Yes, so we can see the double piston extender should be working on the side. You see it just there. And how this works is this observer slider in here will handle this last retraction by powering these blocks right here. Sorry, my screen is jittery. This happens on Bedrock sometimes, on Pocket Edition at least. And then this slider right here will handle the pistons when they're out here. And they both go on both sides because they, just because of the way that I'm stupid. It's because when these pistons right here, when they push and both of these go, these pistons right here are over here, and so they fire when they're here, and then when it turns off, it'll fire right here. And let's go ahead and build that on the other side, but this side is slightly different, and I'll walk you through what differently to do. Same thing basically at the beginning. Actually, it's almost completely the same, except for some other things. So, for the sliders, it is almost the same, except for we're going to place this piston facing, you can break that block if you need to place that, at the same height as this one. So I just power that. Okay, that's cool, I guess. And then this is glass up to this one. Oh, oops. Slider's over here. That's a dumb mistake. Go ahead and break that block to place that in. And then we'll place that. And then I think it's a target block. Yeah, it is a target block. So place a target block here to redirect the dust into this target block, which will power this piston the right time. Oh my gosh, can my screen stop jittering? Look at this. That's annoying. Okay, so now we should see both sides should be working if I've remembered to actually put in this again. So again, redstone block here and normal block here again. That's right. And this is the reason why it is glass here and it's glass there, because this needs to be a transparent block for something in there. Much later, much later, you can go down target block to redirect the dust once again. And then the rest of it, I think, is the same. I'll check. But just the same thing and block the path. And it's a transparent block because why? Oh, because there's a repeater that runs into that block later in the bottom opening. Okay, so this should be the sides completely done. And then we haven't hooked up the double extenders yet, so you could just power those by hand. Well, there's no dust there. Oops. Make sure you place dust here. That's the thing. So now let's move on to the top closing, which is in blue. So for the top closing, I'm gonna run a line over, and this is on 2 ticks. Dust. Then we're gonna have a sticky piston going into this block with a observer on it. Then a repeater on 1 tick. And if you explain the layout, you should know that this one is going to push the observer over, but it can't push until this piston is actually out because of this immovable object. So then we need a torch block and a block with the. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's not yet. Torch. This one is right now, though. Actually, no, I'm not. Why was I? Okay. This one is here, yes. And then up and into this middle piston, which will, during the closing, be this piston because it gets pushed over. And then out of here is a 3-tick repeater into a observer. So it pushes the piston back. And so we should see that happen, and then that happen on the opening side. So now we're going to actually connect the double extenders, and how we're going to do that is on this side we have this piston with a observer pusher. On this side we also have, 1 tick. Also we have a piston with an observer pusher. But here we're going to do stained glass into, once again, another target block. And it doesn't have to be stained glass, it could be normal glass, who cares. And then this is a 3-tick repeater. I'm pretty sure. It is a 3-tick repeater. So then, this is when we pull out our redstone lamps. And so it goes into a redstone lamp, 2 observers, redstone lamp, observer, block, block up, block, and 2. And this actually has to be glass. This actually has to be glass, just like so. Right. And it's sort of the same on the other side, but instead it goes lamp, 2 observers, block, lamp, observer, into 2 observers, into a block, to a 1-tick, and then it's the same thing over here for the most part. And this is a 4-tick, and this is a 3-tick repeater. 3-tick repeater, just like so. And now we should see, when we flick this lever, the top, that should have happened because we haven't finished the opening yet. So it's completely fine. You see, that is completely in sync. And now, let's move on to the top opening, which is in purple. So top opening, it's 4-tick repeater coming out of here. And you see this observer will power this block when this turns off, because there's a redstone torch right here. And that's why this isn't just a piece of dust, it's a repeater, because if it was a piece of dust, it would power this just again, and that would do nothing. And this observer pusher powers the redstone lamp, which happens to also power this this dust, and we can wire that into dust, then 2 more 4-tick repeaters, just like so. Actually, that can't be movable because we need a redstone dust there. And we should see, no, we shouldn't, not yet. Then bring out your door frame blocks again, and place one there, then an observer, and a torch on this piston. And if you don't know, if a torch is on a piston and the piston gets powered, the torch will turn off. It's called soft inversion. It's a very useful thing. We also use it one more other time in the door, I'm pretty sure. You see the closing works just fine. The heck happened? Something didn't go right. I want it to work, but it works. Perfect. Okay, just do that, an observer like that. It'll be fine. Okay, that works fine. Don't like it, but it still works. And this is why this slider has to be down a block. It's because we have this observer thing here. And then up here is block. And just bear with me here. Block, block. And just blocks like so. And then down. Now this has to be glass, or else this observer that you can see through it will power it prematurely, and we don't want that. And then bring out your door frame blocks again, and we also need this block. So what this will do is when this line turns off, it'll actually power this line with the observer. So 1-tick pulls through this line, and I need to see the order. So, and then we're gonna do 1-tick, 1-tick, 2-tick, 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 and a 4-tick. And the reason we have so much delay at the end here is because it syncs up the last retractions about 50% of the time because of the slider inconsistencies of the sides. But we also need to place an observer like this that observes this 2-tick repeater. And if you didn't know, a 2-tick repeater, a 2-tick repeater and a 1-tick repeater do the exact same thing, and it gives 1 pulse, except for a 2-tick repeater is slightly slower than a 1-tick repeater, which is useful. And it'll power this piston and power this dust, which will do that retraction. So that dust is actually very useful. And we can see that happening. And you see it was synchronized with this side. Well, not this side because stupid Bedrock sliders being inconsistent. It's not fun. But still pretty good. It syncs up most of the time. Especially if your world lags. Okay, so if what's happening for me where the right side is consistently late, change that to 2 ticks. Which should not happen. I don't know why that's happening. See, now they're synced. I don't know why that was happening, but if your right side was also being late, then change this to 2 ticks. And if it's being early, which it sometimes does, just change it to 4 ticks. So, now we're going to move on to, finally, the bottom closing, which is in cyan, because, I don't know. So, we need to power all 4 of those pistons, and to power this piston down here, just like so. We wire that up just like this, and then we need a target block. Once again, target block strats. We love target block strats. And then 2 4-tick repeaters into a block with a 4-tick repeater here into a block. And then to power this back piston is a piston facing this way and a torch. Once again, another case of soft inversion, because this redstone block will power this piston, which will turn off this torch. But when this redstone block gets back, when I turn it off, it'll turn off the redstone torch again. And now all we need to do is send 4 pulses through there, and that'll be a fully closed 5x5. And you can see that retract just in time too. So now to get those 4 pulses through is what we do is we use a sticky piston, getting down with a, right, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, yeah. So we need a sticky piston here, then observer here, into a block with a 4-tick repeater on that block, with an observer looking at it, which will double pulse this piston. And then this goes into a lamp, I'm pretty sure, and then just out, around, back to here, sticky piston, but then observer, facing upward into that block, which will power the 4-tick repeater once again. And and now we get to why this redstone lamp is here. It's here because this sticky piston right here will be extended, and that'll send a 3rd pulse through this 4-tick repeater, which will actually send 6 pulses through this piston, because half the time some of them don't work, and it is very confusing. But this should be our closing completely done. And you see the 6 pulses. But if we go on this one, the finished one, you see sometimes it's slower because just of the way it does its thing. I don't know why sometimes the 4 pulses don't work. But now, what we see we need to do is once that gets pushed down, this piston needs to re-extend. And the way we do that is move on to the white circuit. That's how. Is we take 2 blocks out from here, 4 tick repeater on this block, 4 tick repeater on this block, and 2 tick repeater into a block and up with dust and a redstone torch. Just like this. And that redstone torch will act as a monostable. So if this is an example right here. So if I have something like this, you'll see that obviously when I flick this lever, nothing will happen because this line of repeaters will power, and this one will wait and unpower, just like so. But on the other edge, this one will unpower fast, and that one will take a little bit to power, and that's the same thing we're doing here. So on the closing, it just stays extended because this one has to wait a while to turn off. But on the opening, this waits a while to turn on while that one turns off instantly. And make sure you actually break this block here and just place it here. And then you can close up the door again. You can see you get that extension at the right time. Then what we need to do is take another block here, 4 tick repeater, into observer. And we should see, if we break this block and replace it here, we should see that first retraction. Like that. Now, what's what happened? Okay, if that happened to you, if that ever happens to you, just replace this piston down here and the sticky piston. I don't know exactly why that happens, but it does not happen when the door is finished, which is good. Okay, moral of the story. Actually listen to me and break this block, because I didn't. So make sure you actually break this block when you're going to do the door again. And see, the sides worked perfectly fine that time. I don't know what in the world happened. I do know what happened, but like it's so stupid. I don't know why that just happens sometimes. But now we need to fire this one, and the way we do that is we have, since this block gets powered when the door is actually open, we're going to place a normal piston with some dust on it, with an observer facing upward, and we should see that working. I just do that. What did I do? Don't you guys love bug fixing? Okay, so improv. Block down, block like this. This should work. Make sure you break this block to reset the door. This should actually work. Yeah? Okay. And you see that works just like so. So we need one thing left, and I will do that later because I have to go to my mom. Okay, I'm back and I'm loading back into Minecraft because my mom got me McDonald's fries. So, let's get right back into the building. If I can remember where I am. Okay, that's where I am. So, what we're gonna do is a block like so. I'm pretty sure. Lamp, observer, lamp, observer. And you should know this is the pulse extender again, because then we're gonna vortex reader with some dust. Now what we should see is there's no shot. What is going on with these gosh darn observers? Ugh. And observer here with a block. Okay. Test that a few more times. Make sure it doesn't break again. Okay. It should be fine. So, now all we need to do is do this retraction. And this retraction actually does it by itself if you just place a block there, because of this slider will get pushed down and that will actually retract. So that retraction, this extension, and also last retraction, which we are going to do like I forgot because I'm dumb. What I did over here was I took an output from this into a block, then glass, dust, then block like this, block up and block over. And then we're gonna have a 1-tick repeater here on these 2 ticks, and then our 1-tick repeater on those 2, and a 2-tick repeater here. And oops, this actually has to be a 2-tick repeater on an observer like this. From that observer, we go on a whole roller coaster of stuff. So over here, hopper. Doesn't matter which way the hopper is, I just like making it facing down because it looks nicer. And then in, then to the side, then over to here, potentially, and over here, there's block to power that normal piston. And if I'm not mistaken, I go over here twice, over here, and up, and here. And okay, that block already broke, I guess. And then we can go ahead and test it. Okay, that's why. This doesn't go out this far. This just goes here. And to just make it so it doesn't break, I'm just going to place a piston and a lever on it and flick it so that there's an immovable block that's also transparent, because this observer can't power that block. And so now, if we did everything right, this should be your finished 5x5 piston. I'm actually so mad right now. Why did that happen again? Why is this observer hate me? You know what I'm doing? I'm doing this. See if this works. If this doesn't work, I'm going to die. Try that. If yours keeps breaking like mine, then try that. Works perfectly fine. And let me just see if the last retraction is synced. And there we go. This is a finished 5x5 piston door with a volume of 1092 blocks and an opening time of 3.5 seconds-ish. There is input delay because of the way I did the inputs, but it doesn't really matter. See, as it, including input delay, it literally opens in like 4.2 seconds, which is pretty good. So now you could go ahead and fill in your door frame, and you can see, closes up nice and speedy, and opens up nice and speedy. So this will be your finished 5x5 piston door. And thanks for watching. This tutorial was not easy to make, seeing as I had to memorize almost all of this door. It took me like a full hour just to rebuild this in my new world, but it's fine. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.